Something happened at Johnny's memorial service that I was never able to speak about with anyone else who'd been there. The other people gathered that day in Johnny's living room, which had become his dying room, are no longer friends or acquaintances. Sometimes these many years later, I question the occurrences and wonder if I've invented details. But I wrote down the events exactly as they happened with no embellishing as soon as I got home that night, Halloween Eve, 1991, because I knew that someday I would begin to doubt them. I've thought again about that final visit from Johnny, or whatever it should be called, especially years later when I took a job where I could have fulfilled Johnny's greatest writerly desire, been able to give him the work he needed and wanted. Lem, Johnny's surviving partner, though he would die a year later, greeted each guest at the memorial service, held in the room not only where Johnny had died, but also within sight of the mattress on which he had done his dying. Most of the people who attended the service had seen Johnny in that bed. I hadn't. I'd only heard through friends, as if spirit mediums, what he'd been saying about his state of body. For this celebration of life, the bed had been neatly made, the sheet, blanket, blue quilt wrapped about the mattress as precisely as a birthday present. Everyone who entered what had once been the ornate parlor room of a 19th century Italianate townhouse scanned the expanse of bedding, looking for something that indicated Johnny's presence. A wrinkle on the quilt, the negative indentation of his tall, slim body, a shadow-like head imprint on the wall. Early in our friendship, Johnny, a writer, had surprised me by saying, if I could write about anything, it would be gardens. What it's like to occupy them, walk the paths, tend them, grow them. That would never bore me. Years later, I had come to edit a garden column at a big, glossy magazine where I could have answered that desire of his. This anecdote about Johnny's wish to write about gardens, this piece of his history, only 26 years in the making, is what I wanted to talk about that evening when Lem asked us to share sentiments before a farewell toast. The 20 of us assembled into an ellipse. People recounted their memories of Johnny, the ring sporadically broken as someone pivoted outward, bending to wipe away tears, an action that reminded me of old carnival shooting galleries of ducks. I said nothing to the group about Johnny and his love of gardens, not because I feared losing my composure, but because I hadn't earned the right to do so. I never visited Johnny after he became bedridden, and so I felt like a fraud, a peripheral, ghostly friend who'd only conveyed regards and concern through others. The moment for the final toast had come. Standing on either side of me were Johnny's parents. We're going to say to Johnny, Lem instructed us. We'll say it in unison, then raise our glasses of champagne. And so, at the very moment those words, to Johnny, were shouted, as if a Greek chorus, each of us pinching the stem of our blown glass goblets high in the air, arms stretched to their fullest, the chandelier in the room dimmed all the way down. I remember each crystal droplet losing its light, fading from a radiant yellow brightness to a Victorian rosiness, then to nothing. The ceiling's plaster acanthus leaves darkening into shadows, withering from sight. Johnny's mother swung around to the room's dimmer switch to find no one there, her string of pearls clattering as they whipped against her neck. She spun with such velocity that one of her golden earrings flew off, ricocheting against a wall. She turned to me and whispered in a tone that held both panic and hope, "Could it be?" As I bent to retrieve her earring, I replied, "How could it not?"